Welcome back to this week's edition of the Botno Student Podcast. I'm here with Mylan Davis, and I'm your host, Nico Lover. We're going to talk a little bit today about basketball. The boys had districts this weekend, and they ended up beating Westhope on Friday and playing rugby and suffering a loss to them on Saturday, but then coming back and beating Ned Rose to guarantee them a seat in the regional tournament. Davis?
Hello.
So, just want to talk a little bit about how we felt going into districts. Where you guys had high hopes, I imagine, and you had the plan to win. How do we feel playing Westhope?
So, Kevin obviously said, being a second seed, a lot of people are going to come at us, a lot more with a different strategy and everything in the whole tournament. But, things didn't go our way to get the number one seed. But other than that, played Westhope first round. He said just go out there and, don't come out like how you did against Westhope, playing over there and only beating them by like 4 or 6, something like that. So, just go out there. He said play a lot more defense, keep, Broughton under 10 at least. Don't get them going. So that was definitely one of the game plans right there.
When watching the game, it seemed that you guys had a lot of paint presence. You guys weren't really letting Walker Broughton get in there and get any easy buckets. You really made those Westhope boys work for it.
Yeah, so we decided to do either a box and one on him, or triangle 2 with him and Wyatt. But Wyatt didn't do much for them, and Brian just kept shooting threes and just wasn't nothing falling for him and wasn't really driving the basket. So that was it definitely worked for us in the game plan in the end.
And then you played rugby Saturday, who was the first seed going into the tournament, right?
Third. Yeah.
So you guys ended up playing them Saturday, and you suffered a little bit of a loss. Then, just quick, what was the game plan going into that after beating them earlier this season?
Obviously Isaiah came back, and he was out for partially half the season, but with him coming back in the whole lineup for them wasn't really much of a difference. Just keep him out of the paint as much as possible and not let Warren score as much, and he said just keep the defense high, just don't let him drive to the basket. But obviously it didn't really work in the second half, and in the second half our offense just didn't fall through. So nothing much we could really do besides just go out there and play.
Yeah, it just seemed like you guys couldn't really get a lot to fall for you from the perimeter. J-Mac was playing some down in the paint and shooting some fadeaways, as were you, and just didn't seem like a lot was really going for you guys coming in the second half there.
No, it's not like their defense wasn't like great. They played solid defense, but there's certain times where we get some open looks, but none of it just would fall in. Other than that, we all cooled down in the second half, and I don't think we scored more than 10, so that was definitely a big factor in the whole game right there.
Yeah. And then Monday, you guys played Ned Rose, and you guys had suffered a loss to them earlier this season. But then you guys came back and won it by a pretty good margin, I'd say. You guys really came out and showed them what you were worth in the second half this time around. So how were we feeling going into that one after our loss to rugby?
So obviously, with the loss in the rugby, obviously our backs were against the wall, but so were, Ned Rose as well. Obviously early in the season we lost him in double OT. It wasn't really, a great feeling because obviously we were up by like 20 after halftime and should have kept it that way. But, going into that game on Monday was just, mindset where, if we lose, we're practically done and it would suck for most of us. But, we're a lot more better than we should be. And along with that, we missed like probably more than 10 layups in that whole entire game, which would have made a huge difference if we would have made all of those, But overall, defense was okay, I guess. It didn't, give them more than 70 points. So just can't give nothing of credit to them because obviously they played, hard throughout the entire game. And I'm glad that talent came up big in the fourth quarter, and all through as a team just came together.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like you guys had a lot more fire behind your guys' shoes when you guys came out in the second half. You guys kept it pretty close throughout the first, but then again, after you guys came back out of the locker room, you guys were pretty hot and heavy coming through and ended up coming away with the win for that. So that was good stuff. And so now what seed are you going into the region tournament?
We're fourth. So first round we play RE Demers, and below us would be Surrey and Drake. Game plan of that is just don't let Hendrickson and Weekly, their big man, just go off against us. Like when we went over there in Minot, Hendrickson and Weekly just had a great first half. We just played lazy defense, and me and Jaden just couldn't get nothing going. But luckily, Carson kept the game close. But other than that, for this week's game plan, just play good defense. Don't let them score as much in the paint, and hopefully, hopefully our shots will fall in the other entire game.
And other Redeemer's big man is 6'5", right?
Yep.
Is he a bigger guy or not really?
No, he's just tall and skinny, but he knows what he's doing. He knows how to use his body right, and knows how to get around the bucket and play solid defense. But it's refs.
Yeah.
Either way can go for either team.
Yeah. Speaking of refs, you guys got kind of ref during the Ned Rose game, especially in the first half. There,
yeah,
they really came out and screwed you guys. Carson and Taylor were both getting knocked to the floor like it was nobody's business, and it's kind of outrageous.
Yeah, for sure. Kev was saying that if they're going to drive to the basket with their big man, or any other point guard, take a charge or whatever. And, Carson going up for the bucket, layups, he got a goaltending, or it should have been a goaltending call, but never got called for it. And when he went up the second time, he got hit hard and wasn't called a foul. And, late in the second half, Taylor tried to take a charge, but it ended up being a blocking foul. And, other than that, you can't really blame the refs for a lot of things, but sometimes there's just calls are just not as well, not as good at all.
Right. Playing sports, that's just that's something you got to kind of deal with. You'll always have different refs depending on your game, but being a football player and whatnot, you can get refs sometimes can change the tempo of the game, and
for sure
it's it's really frustrating when you get calls that should be really, really obvious, and then they end up calling stuff that you wouldn't even seen if you wouldn't have been there. So,
for sure.
How are we feeling about crowd support? You guys really had a big showing of in the BHS student section there. How are we feeling about that?
Yeah, so it's nice. Obviously with this whole COVID thing, doesn't really bother me much. Even if fans weren't there, like when we went to Raleigh the first game of the year, there's no fans beside their parents. Other than that, it was really nothing much of a big difference. And, Dunnery was telling me before Westwood's game, that Raleigh and St. John had to forfeit their games because of COVID, and made me feel bad. So that's the way, throughout the whole entire game, I appreciate all the fans and people and, family and parents supporting, because obviously if they weren't there, it's kind of different, but, they're always in there with our hearts. So.
Yeah, and like you said, Raleigh and St. John had to end up forfeiting some games because of COVID. And was this year more of a, with the whole COVID deal, was it play every game like it's your last, or did you just, move on week by week and just hope that you could play a game every week?
Yeah, so, during football season, you and I both went with it with Keller, and he said, with COVID, we don't even know how far we'll get. There might be games where might be postponed, or we just not be able to play. Like Harvey, we're supposed to play against them, and it got postponed because of COVID, and then we ended up not playing them. So, Keller right in the beginning of the season, he said, COVID might be an issue again, but you never know. So he said, just play your hearts out every game. Obviously you can hope to play week by week, but if you do that, then it's well, your mindset's gonna be completely different, because there's gonna be 1 week where you might be excited to play a game or so, and the next week you might be just can't really do much. Your mindset will be different if there's no games. So other than that, he just said play with your hearts out and just play together as a team. So we did that as much as possible, and obviously there's some games where we lost, but nothing much can really do besides just go out there and play hard.
Right. It seems like team chemistry this year is a really big factor in how you guys end up playing games. You guys really work together well as a team. Carson is definitely really, really good at. You guys are all really good at passing the ball and making sure that everybody is getting in and playing. And I think that plays a really big part in how you guys are able to function as a team. You guys seems like you guys are going to build each other up and whatnot. And so I'm sure during practice it's going to be about the same way.
Yeah, for sure. Having Carson on the team this year was just a huge difference between last year. Last year was it was rough for sure. It sucked, but at least I was young and I learned a lot for team chemistry wise, and just to keep the team together as much as possible. And I'm glad I was able to do that this year. So happy for everybody.
And so we got regional tournament on Monday.
Yep.
And you and Jaden are on the all-district team, right?
Yep.
How are we feeling about that?
Oh yeah, it's very nice to get all district, and I'm more than happy that Jaden got it than I did. Obviously, like it's nice to have it, and it's well deserved for both of us. But for Jaden to get it, it's very nice. Obviously, stuff happened from last year, and he definitely should have gotten one last year. But again, with the suspension, it was just it was tough overall. And it was a big loss for us in the region or in the district tournament last year, because I definitely think we could have got the regionals last year, even how bad we were in like throughout the games. But I mean, we came around towards the end of the season, so that was very nice. But coming to regional tournament, like I could care less if I get all region or not. I'm just looking to get to the regional tournament or the regional championship game, and hopefully get to the state tournament.
Yeah. And so if you guys win against our Redeemers, who will you most likely end up playing? Or do you not know yet?
Like I said, Drake and Surrey's below us, so we either play one of those two teams. I'm sure Drake's favorite to win that game. It's nothing against Surrey. I mean, we lost against them early in the season, but that's because we didn't have Winnie Moot because of COVID reasons, I guess. And Nate, he had an injury, so it was a tough loss for us. But we didn't have no big man to contain their big man, so it was kind of tough. But I'm not saying that Drake can't beat him, and I'm not saying that Surrey can't beat him either. But who knows who will play if we do end up winning our Redeemers. And if we end up winning that game, like I said, we'll be in a championship game. But if we end up losing, we'll be playing for third place. But like I said, our mindset is just to win the first game of the day and hopefully move on the next day.
All right, so we have a regional tournament on Monday. We wish you boys the best of luck in that. And
Thank you.
Hopefully most of us will be able to make it down there and come out with some support. And we'll hopefully see you guys in the second round in the championship game.
Hopefully. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Davis.